What is up, players? It's War Boss Tay up in this mug. Today we're going to be painting up this vampire lord for the Soulblight Gravelords. It's a great model. I was a little hesitant to enjoy myself because of how the crazy bats in the hair, that just wasn't my thing. But the more I painted it, the more it hypnotized me into submission, and the more I eventually just enjoyed myself getting all these highlights on. It's a terrific model to paint, really easy, really simple. I'm going to take you real time through my entire process of painting this model from primer to this, which I consider a pretty good finish. So actually the first thing I did after priming the model black was I painted on corn red onto the shield, which is why you see the shield is already painted. I had lost that clip. It came corrupted and I wasn't able to save it. So I had to cut that part of the clip out, but it's basically just thin down some corn red paint, paint it on the shield, and you're gonna let that sucker dry while you move on to the bright red hair, which we're doing with Mephiston Red. Just totally cartoony and worlds away from the old Vlad von Karstein and Manfred von Karstein and Konrad von Karstein models from the old Warhammer Fantasy. Just more cartoony, just crazier looking, but fun in its own way. And it's its own style of this dark gothic. It's funny because Games Workshop, with their Age of Sigmar death factions, they're going for all these different looks, right? You've got the Vampire Counts 2.0 with these Soulblight Gravelords. Then you've got the Mortarks, and then the Spirit one with all the ghosts and stuff. So I decided to switch up my brushes and go for that, from that detail brush with smaller bristles to this a little bit of a larger brush to get the paint on. And I found that when you're painting larger surface areas, go for those larger brushes because it'll get that paint on faster, spread it more, and get it to cover the model more, is what I'm trying to say. And Mephiston Red itself is a terrific color. It goes on really smooth and it covers really nicely. It doesn't thin down as you're painting it, not like some other, especially Games Workshop's white paints. I've never had much luck with them. They always thin and spread, and they just don't look nice when I paint using it. So this Mephiston Red, I can think of a couple other colors that cover really well like this. Mournfang Brown, Mechanicus Standard Gray, the thicker base colors with lots of pigmentation to them. They work really, really well. So I'm taking a look at the model, making sure that I'm covering it from all different angles. That hair is so prominent that you want to definitely make sure you don't miss any parts. If you get some of that red paint on the bats, don't worry, it's not a problem. Just repaint it, whatever you paint in Abaddon Black. Now I'm going with Rakarth Flesh for the skin tone here. Rakarth Flesh makes a great pale, deathly, bloodless complexion. And the trick of it is you want to use a small brush. You don't want to go back in with a fatter, larger brush that you used for the hair to get the face down, because the surface area of the face is so small, and that shield covers up a little bit of the angle to get that paint on. So you want to be careful. You don't want to slap that paint on because it's going to get in and ruin all of the detail on the sculpt of the face. So I know a lot of you guys aren't really interested in painting a vampire lord, or maybe you've got one in your collection but you're not interested right now. This video is just to keep you company while you work on your miniatures. And we're moving on to Lead Belcher now for the silver. All of my tutorials, the ones that I've been filming and got on my channel, they're really just here to share with you my techniques on these different parts. So if maybe you don't have a vampire, but you've got some Dark Eldar that you want to be painting, and they're pretty similar to this look, you can, take some of these techniques and move them over, mix and match them to suit whatever model you're painting. And that's what they're here for, just to be a help a helpful resource for you guys, and to keep you company on those long painting sessions where you're just grinding out the work. I know what you're all about, man. I'm right there in the trenches with you. So Games Workshop has this great resource on their products page that you can research, or just put into the search bar whatever model you're working on, and chances are 9 out of 10 times I found this to be true, there is a model with a 360-degree rotating picture carousel. So you can see, if it's hard to tell from whatever the promotional artwork is, where are you supposed to be painting all of these separate surface areas. Like, I just smushed the bug, and I smushed it into my paint mat. Now that bug is gonna be with me forever. Its spirit has been smashed into my my game mat here. Okay, what was I saying? So use that 360-degree view to look for all of the different surface areas, especially when you've got a model that has a lot of dark areas to it. So maybe if you're looking at it right from the front, you can see that the different colors of the most prominent areas, but you might have missed that this vampire's knee pads and shoulder pads and elbow pads and the back of this shield are all silver. So you just go in there and take a look around, take notes if you want to help you remember, or just watch one of my videos. Chances are I might have painted whatever you're looking at painting. So here I'm going in with the side of my brush to get the silver onto the edge, the rim of this shield. I found that getting that paint onto the side of your brush and then dragging it along the side, just use that the side of that brush rather than the point to work on any rims or borders of shields and stuff like that. It really helps. It's kind of like doing the rims and the edges of your Space Marine armor. I'm looking for what's the word I'm looking for? Trim. The trim of this shield is a lot easier to paint when you're going at it from the side with a brush. So yeah, I'm just painting the Leadbelcher paint onto the entire mace here. And Leadbelcher is another great paint. It goes on pretty well. You do have to make sure that it is completely dry before going back to hit it with the wash. This has happened to me so many times where I feel like the silver is dry, so I'll hit it with an Agrax Earthshade or a Nuln Oil, and a lot of that sparkling, this little sparkly pigments in the silver start to get lifted off of the model and floating around in the wash. It's not fun. Okay, I'm going back in now. I feel like the corn red has had enough time to dry, so I'm going in with Mephiston red, and I'm following the outline of the embossed dragon on the shield. This is a great example of Games Workshop's design, because the dragon is not flat. It's not a flat surface. It's got ridges, it's got indentations, it's got all of the little areas carved out to where its eyeballs are. And so even though it's a single color, we're not going to go crazy and do lots of shading or highlighting with the dragon. You could see, you could really paint on your own highlighting by following the lines of the dragon and leaving some of that darker corn red into the shades, into the shadows and all of the depressed areas of the dragon. Looking back at the model now, those bats are ridiculous. I mean, they're never not going to look ridiculous, but if you give your model enough awesome highlighting, then it's going to make those bats look pretty cool. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So speaking of bats, let's go batty. Let's paint some bats up. We're going to use Dawnstone as the highlight color, and the sculpt on these bats, as ridiculous as I feel the design of this model is. I still remember the first time I looked at the pre-release when they announced these vampire Vampire Lords, I looked at it and I was like, what is up? What is going on with this, with the hair? Why is it red? Why is this vampire have red hair? I feel like Vlad von Karstein is turning over in his grave. So I'm just going in and I'm following the lines. The bats are well sculpted. You can see where their little bodies are, where each of the spines of their wings kind of come down around it. Like, as much as I hate the design, I'm looking at these bats now, and yeah, I appreciate the artistry. They're all facing different directions. They all look like they're taking off and flapping haphazardly in a random way. So that's, yeah, I appreciate that. If I were to continue highlighting these bats up, I would have gone in with, with an Administratum Gray to hit those highlights. So they look pretty, and you can see those highlights they're pretty prominently right now. So we're gonna hit those with the known oil when we're shading everything else. But in the meantime, I'm gonna take the small tip brush that I've got, the detail brush, and I'm gonna go in and start highlighting up the armor. Now we've got Cabalite and Sybarite Green as our highlight colors. And Games Workshop actually recommends you use Sotek Green and Temple Guard Blue, which are the same equivalents, but just in a different shade of blue. And you're gonna come up with a very nice result. Obviously, this is a Games Workshop recommendation, but I did not have those on hand. I don't have Temple Guard Blue. I think my Sotek Green is either all used up or the paint pot is all dried up. So I decided to go with the closest approximation that I could find. And I think it is very accurate. And if you decide to paint your Vampire Lord using these colors, Cabalite Green and Sybarite Green, then it's going to just come out perfectly fine. No one's going to notice. Now, the trick with highlighting armor in this fashion is that you want these lines, these colorful lines, to look sharp. You want them to look clean and minimal. They're not like the highlights you would do for, say, like the vampire's hair, where you want the highlight to flow and to move along with the curve and the contours of the hair. You want these lines to look sharp and thin, razor thin as possible. So how do you do that if you're naturally a little bit of a sloppier painter? Well, I'm going to teach you my patented technique, surefire way to clean up those lines. You have to wait until you add your second highlight. I know this might be a little tough for you perfectionists out there. After you do the first highlight, you might already see where the mistakes are, and you might think the paint you added, that you put on the model, is just too thick. It's not going to look any sharper. But all you have to do is take some of the base color for the armor, in this point Abaddon Black, and you're going to paint a little dot of it at the center of an armor plate where the mistake has been made, or where the lines look a little too chunky and not sharp enough. So you're going to put that black paint on the center of that armor piece. You're going to make sure it's not really touching any of the offending highlight, and then you're going to take your brush and you're going to push it towards that chunky highlight line. And as you slowly push your brush to the area that you want the highlight to be thinner and sharper, you're going to notice that that Abaddon Black shapes the chunky, fat, ugly line of highlight into a razor thin, beautiful to look at piece. So I'm doing this with every area of my armor. I'm just taking the Cabalite and the Sybarite Green, and I am just working on trying to pick up all of the plates, all of the sharp edges. So I'm getting that Sybarite Green onto that Cabalite Green, and I'm thinking, okay, where can I put the black paint so that I can clean up these lines. Now we're working on adding the Soulblight green, and I'm looking at the breastplate, trying to see, okay, where can I add this where it's not going to create too much of a diversion. It's great. It's the same color as the armor for my Dark Eldar. I think it's perfect for going over black. It's just a different color look, like the Sotek green and the Temple Guard blue will create a more of an icy blue highlight. This looks a little bit more otherworldly and alien. I think either set you decide to go with is going to look great. Just remember, when you're cleaning it up, the fastest, easiest way that looks terrific and it's going to make your model look terrific afterward is to get some Abaddon black and to really thin it down and paint it onto the armor piece and just push it out towards where that offending chunky line is hanging out. It's a little bit of a tedious process. The armor is the biggest piece of this model. The armor is going to take a little bit of extra time to paint on. Once it's all ready to go, I'll hit it with the wash. So now I'm looking at doing the washes on the model. I'm taking a look at, okay, it looks pretty good. Almost tabletop ready. We're gonna hit it with some washes. The first thing I decided to do was hit the hair and the dragon with some of this Cassandora yellow. And much to my chagrin, it is all dried up. There's nothing, it's gone. It's completely dried up beyond use. What a terrible, terrible piece of junk. So instead of using Cassandora yellow, I'm gonna use Carroburg crimson. That's gonna make the hair and the design on the dragon much more reddish. And it's gonna create the depth for the red, which is not bad. That's I can see how Cassandora yellow would have given it a bit of a different look. Personally, I've never tried Cassandora yellow onto Mephiston red. I was looking, I do have the Lamenter's yellow, the glaze that Games Workshop used to do, but I want to make sure that I'm using colors that we all have access to, no matter, unless they do like a whole paint overhaul, which who knows when the next time that's going to happen. You can get Carroburg crimson where all the paints are. So I'm taking known oil. This is the biggest part of painting the model, and I'm hitting just about everything except the face. The face is going to be Rakeland Flesh Shade, but I'm hitting all of the big surface areas that would need that shade. Trying to think if there's any last minute things I can still do. That known oil, just slather it on, and you want to just make sure that it doesn't pool in the recesses, because then you're gonna have all of your details obscured, and it's gonna make this ugly, oily finish pool. It's just not worth it. So take your brush, drag the wash down the model, let it seep into all of the cracks and crevasses, and then if it starts to pool, or if it starts to look like there's too much extra, then just take a brush and wipe some of that extra wash out. Why do I have a paper towel there? I think, did I spill? I don't think I spilled. I think I was just, maybe I was just drying the larger deposits of known oil. I've been known to do that before. Oh, I can't wait to finish this model. I'm not even speeding it up at all. This is real time, how long it took me to finish the model. And the model's not even finished. I've just painted the texture to the base, and in this video, and then I hit it with a brown, like dryad bark, and now I'm going back in with some grays to highlight up the ground. So yeah, the only 3 shades you need are Carroburg Crimson for the reds, Known Oil for like everything, and then Red Glen Flesh Shade for the face. It's such a simple application. You're not dousing his face with this Red Glen Flesh Shade. You're just taking it and you're creating shadows under the cheeks, around the face, like at the hairline. You want it to seep in and then create some nice looking shadows. And it looks great. I hope you guys head over to the Discord if you're not already there. If you're new to my channel, then please head over to the Discord. It's the top thing in my comment. Join up over there. And I'm going to be painting up my summer painting challenge pretty soon, next week. Just getting everything built up and ready to go. Now I'm taking a look at my model. Look at that terrible, the Known Oil and the lead belcher wasn't finished yet. It wasn't dry. So when I hit it with the wash, it kind of collapsed in on itself. Wasn't ready for that. Now I know better, especially with these fiddly models. So now we're reaching the end of the video where our model is pretty much ready to go. It is tabletop ready, but we want to bring it up from the tabletop. We want to make it a little bit more fancy. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to hit the skin with a highlight of Pallid Witch Flesh. Now, when you look at the model, the shield is a big focal point. The stupid bats and the red hair is a focal point, but the face draws the eye because it's exposed skin. It's the eye naturally goes to the face, even though initially it might be looking at the crazy bats or the very imposing shield. So we want to make sure when we're painting this Pallid Witch Flesh on, we get that paint right on there, nice and smooth and thin, so it can dry real nice. Now we're going to take Mephiston Red and we're going to re-highlight all the areas that we might have crossed over. So I remember really liking this part, painting the Mephiston Red and finding the different raised surfaces of the dragon on the shield to paint. It's just a lot of fun. You can really pick and choose, and when you do that, especially the more brightly colored the highlight colors are, you're going to be painting less and less. You're going to be only working on the details at that point. So we're painting the red on the shield, and we're gonna let that dry for a second. And we're gonna go in with Mephiston Red, and we're gonna highlight up the hair that's been hit with that Carroburg Crimson. We're gonna really just focus on the top parts of each of these crazy strands of red hair, so it can show a little bit of depth between the top where the light is hitting it and the bottom. We want the hair that's close to his face to obviously be brighter, to draw the eye closer towards the expression and the face. Yep, we're just working on the strands of hair, working them out with Mephiston Red. That's my philosophy on painting to a tabletop standard. I could have just stopped right after the wash, so just do base coats and then washes. I could have done that, but I feel like in order to be proud of the models you're putting on the table, you do want to go an extra step. You want to paint what the base color was, which has been darkened by the shades that you're using in the washes. Or you can take that extra step, slap on a highlight, maybe even two, and you're going to end up with a very, very nice model on the tabletop. All right, now we're moving on with Fire Dragon Bright, and this is a very orangey color. We're going to use it to highlight up our bright red. So I'm looking for all of those bent strands of hair where the curve is at the top, so it'll catch the light even more, and then I'm just going to test it out first. Make sure that the colors work. So now I'm also working on the shield, taking that same Fire Dragon Bright and highlighting up the raised areas of the dragon and just creating a focal point for the eye to turn and see. So if I'm working on that dragon, I want to emphasize the head, the spines, the curves, and you really can just have a little bit of paint on the tip of your brush and just work your way down the model, and it'll just naturally find the crevices and the peaks. And hey, I just want to say thanks you guys for hanging out with me, and I know you're working on your hobby, and I hope it's going well for you. I hope you're getting that progress that you wanted to do. And hey, if you are looking for more exciting things to do, then pick a paint project. Join us on the Discord and pick a project that you want to do for the summer. Knock it out. 31 days. It's the Warboss Tay Summer Painting Challenge. And I am super excited for mine, the Cadia Stands box set. I am excited to do a bunch of things. I've been filming voiceovers for more Bretonian videos, talking about the old world, as well as some fluff on the different dukedoms in Old Bretonia. So there's that. I've got unboxings, I've got videos, I've got my Descent into Madness series where I'm going to be painting up 200 Skaven. I might eventually start making that only specific to my Patreon. So I'm going to make it, it's not like I'm going to block it behind a paywall, but I might just have it there. So you have to actually go to Patreon instead of YouTube. I don't know. I don't want to lose and alienate my anyone in the audience, but I do want to plug and promote my Patreon. I feel like I'm talking up Daniel Sprinkle, Play a Painted, Picks, and Dicey Guy every single video, and I want to just grow those numbers. Let's get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. I'm super thankful to my patrons and to anybody who decides to become a patron through this video, maybe. What am I doing? I'm looking for the top highlight colors. I believe I might be trying to get the Cadian Flesh Tone next. Yeah. Oh man, look at that. Whoa, that is Takeception right there. I had no idea what paint I was going to pull out. And yeah, Cadian Flesh Tone. The reason we're using this is because we want to highlight the corn red shield. So this is a tricky one because you want a very thin, pointed brush. You're going to gently get that painted onto the spines of the shield, the quote-unquote spines, and maybe even a little bit around the membrane. Like if you look at the shield, it's like a bat wing. Then you might see on the in-between areas a little bit of that Cadian Flesh Tone. Yeah, Cadian Flesh Tone to highlight corn red. Who knew? It's a magic recipe. Right now we're using, what, corn red again? Yeah, we're cleaning up the lines. So this is the same thing as cleaning up the lines to the black armor with the green trim and highlights. You're just taking your base color, in this case corn red, and you're going to be painting in the center of an area and then edging your way, inching it slowly towards the Cadian flesh tone highlight. Okay, so it looks like we are getting close to the end here, and I remember at this point I'm sitting down looking at the model thinking, like, I filmed this for YouTube, and I'm actually like really pleased with how well it came out. I might just keep it, because originally I think the plan was to sell it on eBay or something like that. So we're going with this Runefang steel highlights on the silver. After hitting your silver with the known oil, your silver is going to look dark, and this Runefang steel really helps to pop that silver color right back up. So you hit the edges of all the sharp armor pieces, you hit the rim of the shield, trim, that's the word I keep forgetting, the trim of the shield, and you hit all the armor pieces, his shoulders, his elbows, his knees. And like I said, look at the mace, if you hit just the pointy edges, the sharp edges, leave that known oil in the recesses, then that's going to be what you want. That look of the chipping and the highlighting is going to really elevate it. So I'm getting close to the end of this one, folks, and as we're wrapping it up and I'm looking just for really touch up minute details, I want to say thank you for joining me. Hey, I also write very short fiction, and they're called flash fiction stories, and my first book, I'm offering it for free on ebook and audiobook in the description. My lady boss says I should really talk about that more because I've got it in the description to all my videos, but I don't really mention it. So check it out. It's pretty cool. 10 stories. Each story is exactly 500 words. Book one is absolutely free, and the link is down below in the description. Check it out. I've already written and published 13 books, and I'm working to try to get my releases up to 20 book series. That would be totally awesome. Yeah, it looks like I just might have been painting like the feet, the areas, cleaning up the armor, the black armor. What am I doing now? Oh yeah, I'm going back in, hitting that shield with the Cadian flesh tone. I'm like determined to get a good line right there, right on the spike, the spine of that bat wing part on the shield. Perfect. So I'll see you guys in the Discord. Thank you so much for hanging out. How to paint a Warhammer Fantasy Age of Sigmar Soulblight Gravelord Vampire Lord. Whew, what a mouthful. I want to say thank you to my boys, Daniel Sprinkle, Play It Painted, Dicey Guy, and Pix. Thank you for supporting the studio. You guys are amazing. If you would like to join them, I hope you do. Please head to the description. The link down there will take you straight to my Patreon. Thanks for watching again. We'll see you in the next one.